Hello everybody. This video is an intermediary while I work on another project that I have no estimation for when it will be releasing specifically, just that I hope to get it out within the next week or two. For years now, when somebody would ask me what my favorite season is, I wouldn't say summer, I wouldn't say spring, and I wouldn't say fall. I would say winter. I suppose as somebody born, raised, and still living in Canada to this day, it's not that out of the question I would like winter. But as my favorite season, as much as you can agree with the broad points that I would bring up, I like the fact that when you're cold, you can put on more clothes versus in the summer, where if you're hot, there's not really much you can do. I like how the snow looks when it dances by streetlights late at night. The way the world seems to almost halt to a standstill when heavy snowfall comes. Everybody hiding in their houses, nobody outside, the world itself almost becoming muted and quiet from a thick sheet of white blanketing everything. Of course, winter isn't all sunshine and games, or rather, winter isn't all pretty quiet nights of snowfall. It's cold, it's crisp, it's moist and wet. It's gray and it's dull, things don't really change, days last for a shorter time, night comes sooner, you have to shovel the driveway and you have to start worrying about ice on the sidewalks and road. The way everybody tracks trails of road salt everywhere they go because the road salt is everywhere. There are a number of reasons that one should be annoyed by winter. It is an inconvenience after all. There is a reason that a lot of people, if given the opportunity, would live in a place that is warm year-round. Not to say that those places don't have their own issues, but those issues to some people are a little more manageable than having to put up with the cold of winter. Yet, winter is not just inconvenient, it's downright deadly. It takes the general temperature of wherever you are falling below 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit for ice to start to form in water and for snow to begin to form in the atmosphere. At 0 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 17 degrees Celsius, it takes 30 minutes for exposed skin to start to get frostbite. At minus 15 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 26 Celsius, it only takes 15 minutes for frostbite to start to occur. When the core temperature of your body falls below 35 degrees Celsius or 95 degrees Fahrenheit, your body starts to get hypothermia. Your internal organs can no longer function as well as they would normally, and they may cease to function. The colder it is outside, the more exposed your body is to the cold itself. The longer you're exposed to the cold for, the more likely you are for hypothermia or frostbite to occur. Both of these things can lead to physical harm or death. All of this as a way of saying that our position in the modern world has made us, in a sense, somewhat desensitized to the actual cold itself. The cold is a threat that in a lot of places people have to meet year-round, and it is a threat that never gives up, even when we have the tools and resources to deal with it. So winter is not only an inconvenience to our lives, but it is a direct threat to our physical safety if we are not careful. Today, we're in a position where there are so many different food sources that we don't have to worry about our crops not growing during the winter. But I think to the people who had to survive winter for thousands of years before we got to where we are today. I sometimes wonder if back then people would have thought about winter the way I do today. Or if to them it was just this time where the world itself became hostile to their presence, even more so than the animals occupying the ecosystem or the treacherousness of the environment might have already been. The thing about winter is that you can wait it out, but only if you have some source of heat to keep your body warm and if you have food to keep yourself fed. All things that would have some degree of difficulty to achieve in their own right were it not for the air itself becoming cold and hostile to the touch. Even though winter and the cold have been downgraded to an inconvenience for a lot of people in the world, winter still comes year-round and our bodies are just as susceptible to the cold as they were thousands of years ago. It's this tenuous relationship we have with winter today that a lot of my feelings towards it are rooted in. I mean, as much as it's about me liking Christmas and the snow falling from the sky and getting to go skating on the ice and sitting by the fireplace drinking hot chocolate, wearing warm, thick clothes, it's also about me seeing the world for what it is and holding some sort of reverence for it, even towards the bad that in a sense lives in harmony with the good. Just in the way that life is still beautiful even though we're all going to die someday. The beauty of a quiet winter day can only exist because nobody's going outside in the cold when it has a chance to kill you. Or, well, that's not entirely accurate, or rather, that is not a full-blown nuanced look at mankind's entire relationship with the cold and winter. If you've gotten this far into the video at least, I think there's a good chance that you pick up on the vague sentiment that I'm trying to present to you. We don't get to choose the fact that we are born into this world, and the world itself is a mixed bag of both good and bad. So what I'm saying is, you kind of have to take the good with the bad. For every hug that a close person to you can give, there's the chance that that will be the last hug they'll ever give. That makes it truly worthwhile. This world of ours is incredibly complicated, and I think at least that there is something to be said for the way in which we as a species are able to see the good alongside the bad. That for every day the world stays cold during winter and proves some sort of threat to ourselves if we go out without covering up in warm clothes, that there's also a day in which you can get lost in this bright, sparkly white substance that falls from the sky and covers the entire ground, almost dampening the noise of the world itself, the sky and everything around this deep bluish sort of tint. So that's it. That's my relationship with winter. I don't think it's a very normal perspective, but I also reject the idea that there is a normal between every person. There is over 7 billion people on this blue rock we call Earth, a celestial body that we named after an old word from an old language of ours, which refers to the composition of nutrients, minerals, and decomposed matter that comprises the ground we stand on. This isn't normal from what we know. The stars are seemingly empty. This is the only planet we know of that can harbor life. So who fucking cares what normal means? From our perspective at least, we're pretty abnormal. Because of it, I feel a little less weird thinking about winter this way. If you're wondering where the footage in the background comes from, that was recorded on a camcorder that I had my mother pull out of storage for me. It is a Samsung SCD86/D87 mini DV camcorder. The camcorder was purchased before I was born in 2002, having been used to record the earliest days of my life. I only think it's fitting that I now use it as an extension of personal expression for this channel.